What's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome to the stream. Got a little bit of a special stream tonight. Special stream on a special night. It's Wednesday night. We're just shaking it up. We're trying something different. No, we're doing a makeup stream because I wasn't here on Monday because I had other things to do. It's spending time with my family. I know, right? How dare I? Yeah. So can't go without doing 2 streams a week, right? Right. Except for all the times I'm not here and go without to.
Never done that before. Never happened.
There we go. Yeah,
we're extremely consistent.
I need to make sure that the Livestream Clips channel has content, Blundy. Right? That's important.
It's true.
How's it doing? How's the live? So you guys probably already know this, but in case you don't know. Yeah, let's start the stream with a little trip over to the Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips channel. That's run by Blunty. How does Bardwell deal with haters breaking the FAA rules on video? Deal with it. That's great. Bardwell responds to drones. I know why that's popular. Yeah. Oh man, 21K subscribers. That's exciting. That's like, last time I looked, we were at like 11. That's good. Except, don't you think some of those are bots? I think you think some of those are bots, Blunty.
I'm 99% sure 5,000 of those are still bots. We never saw a drop off from the bot.
So, but the viewership is going up. That's good. The subscribers are going up.
Still going up. You know, especially for the lack of streams we've been doing, we're still we're just keeping it trucking. So,
well, let me ask you something. I should ask you this off stream, but since we're here, I had the thought that I'm not that into making shorts because I think that doing like YouTube shorts, if your normal content is long form content, then making shorts will attract the wrong kind of audience. It'll attract audiences who want to watch shorts. And then that will screw up your analytics for your long form videos. I think there's evidence for that. Anyway, regardless, that's why I don't do shorts on my main channel. But I did have the thought that live stream clips, and specifically the news, maybe the news would I don't know. It's still like we could have me on top and you on bottom, and we could turn those into shorts. I don't know. It's still, I don't know. We talk for way longer than a minute.
Well, and I think it's way too niche. I could clip it into a minute, right? Yeah. Like I could just do cuts and we just pull the important info into the minute. Mm-hmm. But I think the reach is so niche.
Yeah,
I don't think the news is something even. What's our real view count on the news when you look at the long term, right? So, I can't imagine that many people really care, even in an FPV, versus the amount of people overall who we would want to grab shorts. But I could be completely wrong. I think there are subtopics we do that branch out.
Yeah.
But I think most of them do not. So.
Yeah. The real reason that I'm not that interested in shorts, if there was a final straw, is that they make no money. And I'm not saying that money's my only motivation. Obviously, but if shorts were incredibly lucrative, then I might be well, maybe I should be doing shorts. But not only am I not that interested in making them, but they're the ad revenue on shorts is horrible. 1/100th of what you get from a normal YouTube video, which isn't that much to begin with.
The difference, the promotion is just crazy high if you hit the right bracket, right? Mm-hmm. So the difference with shorts is you make a lot less, but somebody who's nobody can suddenly pop into like millions of people viewing those shorts because they're just virally feeding them to people like candy, you know?
Yep. Anyway. So yeah. We're here. It's a Wednesday night. You guys are going to ask questions. I'm going to answer questions. Blunty is going to queue up the questions. Here they are. Already getting them queued up. Oh, we have like 19 questions queued already. Shit, I'm behind. If you guys want to, you have two choices. Either you can just ask a question and maybe Blunty will decide he wants to queue it up if he thinks it's interesting. Maybe not. Or if you want to force our hand, what you got to do is you got to go down to the bottom of the screen, hit the $sign, and leave a super chat. And then a little later in the stream, I'll start reading the super chats. And we'll just sort of do a little super chat, roundup. Okay.
I want to say something real quick. Like, I queue every question that's asked in chat. Sometimes people get like, they're like, "Oh, is my question going to get queued, or how many times do I need to ask it?" I just want to make sure I voice the fact that like every question ends up in that queue. We just have so many that it's impossible to answer them all in one stream.
Yeah.
I just want people to know.
Yeah, and if your question doesn't get answered, anyone can email me, jb@joshuabardwell.com, and I answer almost all the questions I get within a day. Some questions take a little longer to get to, but anyway, here we go. We're going to start, I want to start with, where was it? A very important question from Cool Cat. Susan and Lisa decided to play tennis against each other. They bet $1 on each game they played. Susan won 3 bets and Lisa won $5. How many games did they play? Susan won 3 bets. So they played 3 games. And Lisa won $5. So that's an additional 5 games. They played 8 games. Is that the right answer? I just wanted to feel smart. Now that we've got that out of the way, if I got the question right, I hope I did.
I got one I want to answer.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Go ahead. What is it? No.
I just want to say, just because I've been thinking about this, Sam says, does Blunty still play StarCraft? Tell me if I should. That's please tell me if I should. I was actually Googling like what the active player count was currently for StarCraft 2. I'm not going to go back to original StarCraft, but I'm looking for an RTS to play. And I had the itch really bad, and I almost went back into StarCraft 2 and started looking at build orders again. But yeah, let me know if I should.
Okay. Right. Should Blunty play StarCraft now? Yes. Scotty says StarCraft is for whales with money. How is StarCraft for whales with money? It's not a pay to win, is it?
It's not the game you think it is. I think you're thinking of a different game.
It's modern StarCraft Mobile. Pay $5 to unlock Zerg Rush. Okay. This is a question from Notice, who asks, have you guys seen the tiny black box? I can't type Crafted Quads. From Crafted Quads, I have not. Let's look at it. Oh, yeah, no, I think we did cover this on the news. This is a tiny black box logger. The selling point is that it is ultra small, so it could be used even on like tiny whoops. It's ultra small and ultra light. I think we must have covered this on the news, Blunty, because I've seen this before, and I don't know where else I would have seen it. Is it the same as Open Logger? Well, I couldn't say if it's the same as Open Logger or not. It does look like it has up to 8 kilohertz logging rate. The big selling point of Open Logger is that it supports really, really high baud rates. I think up to 5 megabaud. So it can do faster logging rates that you normally can't do to an SD card. Yeah, it's very cool if you want to do black box logging. I guess is what I'll say. It's very cool if you want to do black box logging.
Just for a little more info, I put the link in Discord for the project, but this is basically a GitHub project that Crafted Quads did runs of, or did a run of.
So anyone could make one of these.
Yes, you could also make one of these if you wanted to. It's open sourced. It's just a better option because it's so much smaller and lighter than an open logger. That's why people are typically looking for something like that.
Gotcha. So I think it's different from OpenLogger in that it's a separate project, but they seem to serve the same purpose. I don't know if there's some technical differences that I'm not aware of. Blunty Sam says Stormgate is the successor to StarCraft 2. Most of the original StarCraft devs are behind it, and Battle Ace is trying to revolutionize RTS games. StarCraft 2 is on the way out. So it sounds like you're going to be playing Stormgate.
Yeah, I didn't get into Battle Ace's beta, but Stormgate is something I've been looking at. I'm just trying to decide what to put the time into, or what to plan to put the time into.
Crumb asks, this is my first foray into LEDs on my latest build. Why shouldn't I flash with the 64 LEDs upgrade? Any downside? I assume it's not enabled by default because lower-end MCUs can't run it. Yeah, well, Crumb, the thing I would say about that is that, well, I think that once we went to cloud builds and a whole lot of shit got knocked out of the program, so that the program got a lot smaller, I feel like cloud builds freed up a lot of space, okay? And so, there used to be every Betaflight build had all the features, and then they ran out of space. And then they knocked a bunch of stuff out. It feels to me, and like if a dev says different, then obviously they know and I don't. I don't know the actual numbers, like how big the code is. But it feels to me like pretty much any modern flight controller, if you wanted to enable the 64 LED thing, then you could. As long as you're not also enabling a bunch of other shit that makes your code too big. And if your code is too big, then it's just going to tell you when you try to flash it and be like, hey, your code doesn't fit, if that's even possible. As far as processing power, my guess would be that it's more about memory and code size, storage, than about processing, and I would probably feel fine flashing the 64 LED on pretty much any flight controller. That's my take on it. It's a little bit out of my butt, because I'm not a dev and I don't know like if there's some reason why the 64 LED upgrade like causes a problem, but I would just flash it, sure. I'm looking at getting the Flywoo FlyLens 85 with the DJI O3, and I'm kind of leaning to the one with the full air unit. Would there be an advantage to get the Beta FPV Pavo 2.0 with the 3S instead? I would say, so we've got the FlyLens 85. Let's get that up. And we've got the Beta FPV Pavo 2.0. I gotta say, I think these are different. Well, I guess they're not that different. I mean, looking at them, I was about to say I think they've got a different intent. FlyLens 85 HD with Walksnail Moonlight. Flywoo, one of the only vendors still making Walksnail bind and flies. Isn't that interesting? They didn't get the message that they were supposed to be, threatened not to do that. I made that up. Don't. There's no truth to that. I think you're saying that the Pavo 2.0 is going to do better because it's on 3S. I don't know about that. Maybe. I'll tell you, I have the FlyLens. That's FlyLens 75. Do I have the 85? Ooh, that's the 75. That's different. I don't think did I click on the 75? Did he say the 75? He said 85. Okay, I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, that's my mistake. FlyLens 8503. There we go. Okay. I guess I have the FlyLens 8503. I actually am just, it's actually literally behind me on the bench. And I realized that I not only have the naked one, but I have the one with the full O3 air unit. And I thought, wouldn't that be an interesting video to make? I haven't flown the one with the full O3 air unit, so I can't say for sure. But I didn't feel like the Pavo 2.0 was like exceptionally, like it was better than I thought it was going to be. But like, I'm not sure that I would pick the Pavo 2.0 just because it's 3S, I guess is my point. I don't know. 1103, 8500 kV motors. That's a tough one. What battery does it run? 54 grams versus, do we have weight? Do we have specs? Wait. Do we have weight? 249 grams. Oh, well, obviously. Where's the actual weight, you monkeys? There's a table in here. I remember seeing it. There it is. Flylands 8503. 91 grams for the frame. No battery. 91. Empty weight, 54 grams versus... This... That can't be right. That's just the frame? No, that's right. It's including the air unit. How is the Pavo 2.0 55 grams carrying an 03? No battery and air unit. I see. The chat is probably screaming at me right now. What's the weight? Dagnabbit. All right. I don't see the weight with the 03 in it. 3S 450. 2S 750. I'm not sure. The real answer is I don't know. I don't know. I am a big fan of the Flylens 85. The naked version is mighty fun. The not naked version is a little heavier. I don't feel like you're going to be disappointed in the 2S Flylens. And I think overall the Flylens, I would prefer it over the Pavo 2.0, but not by much. I think the Pavo 2.0 is a little more fragile the way they put it together. They've tried to make the Pavo 2.0 more of like a cinematic thing with some shock absorption and stuff, but it gives it some break points. So, okay. Well, said a whole lot of nothing there, but there you go. That's what we do here. Is there a good stack in stock for my AOS 5? Like the Speedy Bee V4? So surely it's in stock somewhere, right? What are some places I can buy 18650 batteries? I'll tell you what. I don't know if you guys know Upgrade Energy. They're this company. They make batteries with 18650 and 21700 cells. And I actually have been talking with the owner of the company, his name is Matthew Barnard, just talking about batteries. It turns out the guy who owns this company is like just a giant battery nerd. It's kind of fun. I'll tell that story. I'll tell that story in a second. Anyway, I was like, so, what's your secret? Where do you get your cells from? Because he'll buy 50,000 cells and he'll make a bunch of batteries, right? Where do you get your cells from, huh? And he says, well, a lot of the time I just order them from 18650 battery store. And I was like, shut up! Shut up! He's like, yeah. You just go in. You go, okay, I want a Molicel P30B, okay? Molicel P30B, quantity 20,000. Add to cart. I can't do 20,000. Okay, 10,000. Add to cart. 527. Okay, I got him. Anyway, apparently this is where he does some of his shopping. So if it's good enough for Upgrade Energy, it's good enough for you. 18650 battery store is where I would buy good quality 18650 cells. There you go. When flying, what's the first thing that switches off when the battery's very low? It's not the motors. The motors will keep running until the battery is just completely dead. They won't make enough thrust to fly. Like you will land, whether you like it or not, but they will try to keep spinning. A lot of times the VTX or the camera sags out first. They're often only good down to 2S. The VTX is often only good down to 2S. The camera is usually good down to 5 volts if it's analog. And so I think the VTX is usually the first thing to go. Then again, some VTX are good down to like 3 volts. And so the whole thing will just sit there and wait for you to come unplug it without anything dying. Here's a question from Notice who asks, Joshua, approximately 3 years ago in your Betaflight core temp warning video, you said, turn that crap off. Do you stand by that statement? Yep. The core temp warning is meaningless. What are you going to do? It's meaningless. Like, let's think about it this way. I'm going to use a little bit of a dark example. Okay. Let's say you go to the doctor and the doctor says, you have an incurable terminal disease. There is no cure for it. You get your things in order. There's nothing you can do about this. You're going to die. Well, like, obviously that news is going to have an effect on you, right? But ultimately, there's nothing you do about it. So my point is that if I'm being told that there's something happening and there's nothing I can do about it, well, I guess it's not a great example because, like, if you have an incurable terminal disease, there are things you can do. Like you could get your will, and you could go on vacation, and you could do whatever you want to do at the end of your life. If I'm being told that my flight controller is overheating, well, what am I going to do? Well, I guess I'm going to get its affairs in order. No, you're just going to fly it. So just turn the warning off. If it overheats, it overheats. If it shuts down, if it dies, get another one. It wasn't a perfect analogy. Sometimes my analogies go off the rails. Let's see here. Is it theoretically possible to figure out where each amount of latency is coming from? Like, would a 10 millisecond radio link latency plus 40 millisecond video link be identical to 25 plus 25? Yeah, I don't think it's possible to tell where the latency is coming from, because here's why. All that you know is, I moved the stick and I saw something happen in the goggles. And I moved the stick and I saw something happen in the goggles. And that loop keeps happening. That is all you know. There is no way for you to tell where the additional latency is being added, right? Okay. Now that I've said that, I want to argue with myself. If you ever talk to me and I just argue with you, please know that I do it to myself as well. Video latency with DJI and Walksnail is not consistent. It's changing, right? It goes up and down as you get further away and closer. Control link latency is essentially constant. In reality, it's not constant. There's a little bit of jitter, but it's relatively constant. So theoretically, if you notice that the latency is changing and the video is stuttering, you could infer the additional latency was coming from the video link, right? But that's not exactly the question you asked. We'll get the super chats in just a second. I'm just going to take one more question. Is that a real watch or is that your Fitbit? That's a watch. It is a Tissot. Yeah, it's a watch. I have a watch. There we go. I'm contemplating whether I should get a new band. It's kind of like a denim. It's not really denim, I don't think, but it's kind of like a denim band. And like, I was looking at it going, I think I would like it better with like a brown leather band. And then my wife, she said, I really like your watch. I think that's a really nice watch. And my wife doesn't comment on my appearance very often. So when she says, oh, you look really nice today. Wow, it really hits. And she was like, that's actually a really nice watch. She said, I really like that I really like that the denim band. It's not just like leather like every other watch out there. And I went, oh. Oh, well. Okay, let's do... Wait, we got one more before the Super Chats. Blunty, what is the best tasting lake fish? Blunty's a fisher, for those... Blunty is a hobby fisherman. Done freshwater fishing, ocean fishing. He's done a lot of fishing. He's done Russian Fishing Simulator video game, too. What's the best tasting lake fish, Blunty?
Yeah, I don't have a good answer because I'm in the South. So
what does that mean?
Like our lake fish are like, pond or river fish. They're not like there's no salmon here. You know what I'm saying? Like
are salmon lake fish? Aren't salmon trout. Ocean fish?
Well, there's, I guess, trout. I don't know. Again,
I guess there's freshwater salmon. Yeah.
Yeah. And then trout and stuff. I don't know. Like catfish is good, but like, I don't know. You're really going to see catfish.
I've only ever had catfish like fried. And I'm not sure whether I like fried catfish because catfish is good or just because, you fry many things and they get good.
When I think about, like, good eating fish, I think about saltwater fish. When I think about fish I'm just going to, like, have, I think about freshwater fish as far as concerned as where I'm at. Mm-hmm. I'd much rather have, like, a redfish or a flounder or a snapper or a grouper. Mm-hmm. I mean, the list goes on, so.
Kelvin Santos says rainbow trout. I mean, you might be right. I wouldn't know. Okay. Always like to get you to talk about your hobbies. Okay, we got some Super Chats. We're going to read Super Chats for the next little bit until I get through all of them. And if you want to get your question answered promptly, now is the time to leave a Super Chat. And I'm going to keep reading Super Chat. I mean, it starts out and we have like 5 Super Chats. And as soon as I start reading Super Chats, more Super Chats start coming in and then we go for an hour. So it's totally up to you. But this is the time to get your question in. And we're going to start with these questions. Yeah.
Sorry, one real quick.
Yeah.
Chat is starting to rally against the emoticon feature that's enabled in the chat.
What do you mean?
I don't know if we can consider turning it off.
How do we turn it off?
I don't know, but
reactions. I turn off the reactions. I got it. It's off.
Yeah.
I don't know if I turned it off for everyone. Okay. I turned it off for me. So like it looks to me like I can go up here at the top and turn off reactions. And I bet that's what you're talking about.
I think so, yes.
I don't know if I can force it to be unable to be. I don't want to screw with the stream settings. Well, stream settings. Is it here?
I don't know. People have said you could enable it stream wide, but okay.
Well, that may be, but I don't think I want to screw around with the settings while I'm in the middle of the stream. So, okay. It's in the second page of stream setup. Yeah, but I'm in the middle of the stream, so I'm not going to change that right here. I'll look at it on the next stream I do, if I remember. Blunty, try to help me to remember. Thank you. We got 3 Super Chats from Chase the Bag. Thank you for $10 or for $30 in Super Chats. That's incredibly generous, Chase. Chase says, I love your vids. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for you. You have made a big impact on my life. I used to be addicted to drugs and was going down a dark path. One day I came across one of your vids and I've been watching your channel ever since I got sober and have been flying my AOS 5, learning new stuff every day from your channel. I just want to say big thank you for changing my life and introducing me to the best addiction someone can have. Could you show me a good stack or even a good ESC to go with my F7 Blitz flight controller? Chase, thank you for the inspiring words. It always amazes me how I just sit in my basement and my office and talk to a camera and publish this stuff on the internet, and it always amazes me that so many people find value in it. But to hear a story of somebody's personal connection and ways in which the content made their life better is very gratifying. So I really appreciate that. You definitely have to have something to keep your mind busy and occupied if you're in recovery. It's those moments when you're sitting alone and with nothing to do and feeling like, and especially those moments where you feel like everything's going great and you've really nailed it. And then you're like, maybe I'll relapse right now, And so it's really nice. And then you call your sponsor, right? And then you don't relapse. But to have something to really keep your mind occupied, to sort of give you that dopamine that you're searching for, that it's great that FPV can be that, and it's a privilege that my videos were a part of that for you. So thank you for letting me know. A good ESC to go with your F7 Blitz flight controller. I have to tell you, man, for all that people think I'm like, oh, the FPV know-it-all, he can do anything. Some people think that. Shut up. I am a fundamentally lazy person at heart. And so if I had an iFlight Blitz flight controller, I would buy an iFlight Blitz ESC just because it means I don't have to repin the wires going from the flight controller to the ESC. And it's a fine ESC. There's nothing wrong with it. Is it the best ESC in the world? No. You could spend more money on the best ESC in the world, have to do all this dicking around, repinning the wires and plugging everything together, and then at the end of the day, you'd crash and you'd blow the ESC anyway, I don't know. So just buy an iFlight Blitz ESC, and you can get on with your day. Kira Dennis, thank you for $5 Canadian. What's the best method for connecting a controller to a PC for use with simulators? USB, Bluetooth, ESP, LRS, squid stick, etc. Kira, in my opinion, it's USB. All of those other methods add a small amount of latency. And in my opinion, one of the things that makes simulators feel less realistic is additional latency. Now, the latency situation is a little weird anyway. Like, what is the latency of a joystick input on a computer? Is it faster or slower than the latency of a normal RC control link? I don't actually know. Like, obviously, joysticks are, they're not like terrible latency, but are they tuned to the same low latency as like a real aircraft that you're flying in the real world? Don't know. But if you show me a Wi-Fi interface or a squid stick interface where I've got a wireless connection, that's adding latency, and I kind of don't like it. I always plug in with USB, and it means there's a cable dangling out of my controller, but who cares? I don't care. That's my opinion. Close call. Thank you for a $5 super chat. What's the worst crash you've seen a quad survive from? I will tell you. I will tell you. I will show you. I was there for it. Well, I don't know if I can find it. It's the Rotor Riot. It was when I did the review of the Rotor Riot tank. Oh, it was the G-Force video. It was the G-Force video. It was the G-Force video.
What's it? Oh, it doesn't sound so happy. Oh, camera, do it on. Okay, here we go. Into the ground.
That was it. Where's the crash? Here we go.
10 G's. 10 G's.
There's one maneuver that we didn't do yet.
Which is?
That I think will generate some G-forces.
What is it?
It's the maneuver that every pilot does most.
Oh. We know what it is.
What is that?
You know what it is.
Crash? It's the tank, right? Yeah. My game plan is to go up high in the air, to turn upside down and full throttle into the ground. The only possible way this could fail is if it knocks the SD card loose and we don't get the data.
Yes.
But
I mean, either way.
surprise, we didn't get the GeForce data. Right? We have insurance on this. We didn't get the GeForce data. It's harder than you think to hit something upside down at full throttle.
I mean, yeah.
I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
So we're going to get way up here.
Oh, boy.
So how am I going to, I almost feel like I could do it line of sight better.
Right? Try line of sight?
I don't know. How high can I fly?
It's windy too. Oh boy. It's blowing in our direction.
The best time of day to do this.
You are over us, my friend.
Wow, you are not anywhere near it.
Oh!
The battery's over there.
Now, you can watch the video if you want to, but you can take my word for it. The quad did that. It flew after that. It did it another time, and it flew. And on the third time, we finally broke the bottom plate. Worst crash I've ever seen a quad fly away from. Full throttle into the ground. Flew away from it. What was the point of this again? Asks Sky King FPV. Well, nominally, we were trying to measure the G-forces that a quad experiences. But mostly, we were just trying to do wild shit and make content. Like, when I go on a road, that's my... People are like, what does Bardwell get out of going on a Rotor Riot shoot? Is it the fame? Is it the glamour? Is it the money? No, it's not any of those things. What I get out of going on Rotor Riot shoots is I'm not working for myself anymore. I'm on somebody else's job, and I could just kind of cut loose and screw around in ways that I don't necessarily. And I can be like the weirdo instead of me being like, oh, Mr. Smarty Pants, I know everything. I'm scientific. I can just be like, hey, Sean, this is your quad, right? Can I smash it into the ground full throttle? I would never do that to one of my quads. But it's Sean's quad, and then Drew is like, yeah, we'll give him another one. Go for it. It's for the channel. And then I'm like, yeah, and then I get to just go do that stuff, and it's super fun. So. Anyway, Render has a question in the queue. Thank you for a $2 donation. Render asks, I've got a B35. I put 1605 3800 kV motors on it. It hovers around 35% throttle. Seems fine on 3-bladed props. All up weight 400 grams. Should I step up the size to 2004? I don't think... I would not use 2004 motors on 3.5-inch props under almost any circumstance. Well, you could use 2004s on like a heavily loaded Cinewhoop. The idea, to my mind, the idea of a 2004 is that it is a wider motor and you need extra cooling because your quad is heavy. Your quad is kind of heavy though. A 3.5-inch at 400 grams is pretty chunky. Why is it so heavy? Why is it so heavy? That's weird that it's so heavy, but it is what it is. 1605. What's the volume of a 1605? That is 1605. So that's 8 millimeters squared. 8 times 8 times 3.14 times 5 millimeters. That's a 1605 motor. And then we've got a 2004, which is 10 times 10 times 3.14 times 4 millimeters. So the 2004 is a significantly bigger motor. And it's going to have better cooling than a 1605 because it's wider. And you're super chonky at 400 grams for a 3.5-inch. Like, for me, 3.5-inch is the largest size that you can get under 250 grams without trying too hard. And if you don't try too hard, a 3.5-inch is going to be around 300, maybe 350 grams. But coming in at 400 grams, that's pretty chonky. I think you could go to 2004. If for some reason, like if your 1605 motors are not if they're getting hot or if they feel like are underperforming. I think what you're suggesting is going to a higher kV 2004. Like you might go to a 4000 or a 4200 kV or something. I don't know what's available. But you go to a higher kV motor, so you get that throttle position down. Now you got a little more power. The motors generate a little more heat, but because they're 2004s, they could take the heat. I think I could see an argument for that. There you go. Normally, I would say 2004 is not the right motor for a 3.5-inch freestyle quad. But normally, I wouldn't think a 3.5-inch freestyle quad would be like 300 or 400 grams. So. Mason Westcott, thank you for a $5 super chat. I have a Crossfire receiver that starts to blink red after trying to bind an update, and it doesn't actually bind. Mason, I am not sure. I think this means you have a firmware mismatch of some kind, and I know you think that's impossible because, like, shouldn't it update the firmware? But what I would do is this. Like, there have been times in history where a new piece of Crossfire hardware came out, and the firmware that's on the module doesn't support it, and it can't be downgraded because it's new firmware, so, like, they just won't bind. So, what I would do if I were you is, number one, update the firmware on the module to the latest version available in TBS Agent, and then try to bind it again and see if it works. That's what I would do. And if you're already on the latest firmware, then I would have to think some more. I would probably do emergency recovery because that's just what my fallback is always to do. Is there a way to get DJI OSD elements in Walksnail goggles? Thank you for €2 super chat. Blup. I don't understand that question. Which you could get the full Betaflight OSD in the Walksnail goggles. What DJI OSD elements are you hoping for that aren't there? The answer is probably no. Like either it's a Betaflight OSD element, in which case it's already there, or it's a DJI OSD element, in which case you can't have it. CCAT Metal, thank you for a $5 super chat. Metal works. CCAT Metal works. What tiny whoop should I buy to fly indoors with a low latency, lightweight video transmitter? Goggles, 1S or 2S batteries? CCAT Metal works. If low latency is your concern, then HD0 and analog are your only two choices. HD0, of course, is better image quality. I'm not as convinced as I once was that HD0 is like the savior of tiny whoop video signals. I had a 65 millimeter racing drone, a 65 millimeter tiny whoop, racing tiny whoop. Okay, I think I've described it, with HD0 on it, and it was a little frustrating to use. Like, at first it was wonderful because, the image quality is so good. But then I took it to a race, and, like, other people were finishing the race at, like, 2.8 volts on their battery, and they were skating across the finish line on their third lap. And mine would drop out of the air at, like, 3.1 volts because the video transmitter lost video. And that was a little annoying. It was difficult for me to finish a lot of the races. The other thing was that normally the power draw of a video transmitter is negligible, but the HD0 video transmitter pulls more power, and I literally could just see my battery. I would plug in, and I'd go set the quadcopter on the starting blocks, and then I was waiting for him to start the race, and then somebody was like, oh, hold on, I have to change my channel. Oh, my props, my shoe's untied. And there was a delay in starting the race, and I'm just watching my voltage go 4.35, 4.34, 4.33, 3.2. By the time the race started, I was at, 4.19 volts, and I was like, what the frick is going on here? The HD0 video transmitter is also a little bit heavier. Not that much heavier, but a little heavier than analog. And all in all, I was not in, like, if I had to race again, I'd probably go back to analog on that 65 millimeter. If we're talking about a 75 or an 85 millimeter with a larger battery, I think that difference is going to be less significant, and maybe it's going to be more compelling to go with HD0. But I really got a little disillusioned with it on the 65 millimeter. So it's either going to be analog or HD0. It's your choice. On 65 millimeter, I think I would push you toward analog. On 75 and 85, I think it's a little bit of a toss-up. And as far as goggles, if you're going analog, like, it's just a question of how much money you want to spend, you know? Like, you can get the EV800DM for about $100. You can get the Fat Shark Echo for about $100. That's a good analog goggle. And then if you go HD0, you really just should get the HD0 goggles, and that's going to be like $600. So there you go. Had a capacitor blow up in my face today, says Pete FPV. It happens to the best of us. Don't wire the capacitor backward and it won't happen like that. Matt Quillen says, I bought a Radiomaster Boxer ELRS because of you and I plan to learn on a sim. I'd prefer HD. What's my next move? I tell you, I think, and this is shameless self-promotion, but it's sincere, so I think what you should do is go to getfpv.com and buy yourself the Bardwell beginner build, either the HD ready or the analog version. Wait, is this the newest one? Why is this on sale? It's not on sale. That's the old one. Oh, that's the RTF. That's annoying. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the damn. This one shouldn't even be listed. No one sells that anymore. They don't make that anymore. Where's the damn thing that you're supposed to buy? Where's the damn thing you're supposed to buy? Where's the damn thing you're supposed to actually frickin' buy? In stock. Yay. In stock. What the hell is... Oh, this is a combo kit with the O3 air unit. It's a... Hello, I am a beginner. It is the first time I have ever bought a quadcopter. Joshua Bardwell, beginner build. I will get into FPV now. What is this? What is this? I can't. What is this? I'll buy this one. No, it doesn't exist. Oh, okay. Well, I'll buy this one. No, that's not the kit. That's the bind and fly. Oh, there's a bind and fly of the kit? I thought the whole point of the kit was that you build it yourself. Well, maybe you don't want to build it yourself. You want someone else to build it for you. Oh, I could buy a bind and fly. Well, actually, you can't. It's out of stock. Okay. Oh, here we go. This is the one I want. No, it's not. Newer product available. Oh, okay. Is this the one I want? I don't know. This hobby's the worst. Get a PV. Please get a PV. No emails. It's all in good fun, but you know, right? Maybe there's a way this could be made simpler. Why does this product even still exist? Take this out of the search results. Like, Get FPV, I understand you probably don't want to kill this URL. Because if you 404 this URL, I don't know. Like, there's a reason why this product is still in the store. But just tag it so it doesn't show up in the search results. There's zero reason for this. This product is not made anymore. This shouldn't show up in search results. It's confusing things. What is this one? Oh, this is the bundle. You mean I can buy it as a bundle? Oh, yes, you can buy it as a bundle. Oh, that's cool. What about this one over here? Oh, that's not a bundle. That doesn't include the goggles and the air unit. Oh, that's good. Wait, no, I want the goggles and the air unit. Oh, we'll buy it as a bundle. Do I get a discount? Probably not. Anyway. What you should buy... Okay, I've completely derailed my own sales pitch. For those who think that I was doing this out of a desire to, like, shill my own product and try to make money, you can see that that was never my intent. I've just spent the first 5 minutes of this shilling self-promotion slagging off the store that makes my product, which will probably result in them being annoyed at me and going, why do we work with him again? I don't know. Apparently it's working out for both of us. I'm more entertained than I have been all day. Okay. What's my next step? I just bought a controller and I'm starting on the simulator. What should I do next? pick up something like this. You want to go digital. You said you wanted to go digital, so we're going to get you the digital version. This is the HD ready version, or as you saw earlier, they make a kit that includes the goggles too and the O3 air unit, and so you're ready to go. Excuse me, gosh, I'm in my mouth. You buy this kit, you build it. While you're practicing on the simulator, you're also learning to build, and then eventually, by the time you finish building this, maybe you've gotten good enough in the simulator that you're ready to go fly it. Yay! There you go. Sometimes I slag off a vendor on a live stream. And after that happens, someone from the vendor reaches out to me and says, not like in an angry way, but they're just like, "Hey, if you had these complaints, I wish you would have told us you had these complaints. We could have tried to address these complaints. Instead, you keep the complaints to yourself, and then you air them on a live stream. You know, we could have just dealt with this, and then maybe things could be better." And what they don't know is that I didn't have these complaints. I didn't have these complaints until this very moment. And the beauty of live streaming is that as soon as something like that pops into my head, you get it, the unfiltered, and that's what you're here for. And they're like, "Yeah, but when you do that, that costs us money." And I'm like, "Oh, I mean, I feel like I should care about that." And then they're like, "Okay, well, we don't want to pay you money anymore." And then I'm like, "Oh. That's bad, right?" Join my Patreon. Continuing with the super chats. On current Betaflight firmware, should I have permanent air mode enabled or disabled? Flying freestyle with a 3-inch quad. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Bryce, I think that I have it enabled all the time. So I would say keep it enabled. There are specific reasons why you might want to disable air mode, such as if you do a lot of perches, or if you land, or if you do skids and you don't want the quad bouncing, then you disable air mode just for that. Horu, thank you for a $5 super chat. I've got a Flyfly F33 Whoop. I'm having issues with out of the box. One motor sometimes briefly cuts out in flight. Any ideas? Well, I got to tell you, man, 533, like, the whole point of 533 as a company is, like, I don't mean to speak for them, but, like, as I see it, Evan Turner puts his name behind that company. He is a real FPV pilot. He's a man of the people. He's a member of the community. He wants his products and his store to be the best. So if you bought a 533 Bind and Fly and you're having a problem with it, and I don't mean like you crashed it a million times, you said you're having issues out of the box, do not spend another $1 on super chats for me. Thank you for the super chat. Go straight back to them and say, "I bought a Bind and Fly and out of the box is falling out of the air." Be polite about it. Don't be an asshole. But basically be like, "Hey, can you help make this right?" And I sincerely hope and expect that they will say, "Oh my gosh, yes, of course, that's not acceptable, and we'll make it right for you, however that is." But I don't want you to feel like I'm blowing you off and saying, "Well, I don't want to troubleshoot this." I'm just saying, if you bought a Bind and Fly and out of the box it has a problem, stop wasting time trying to fix it. Let them fix it for you. It needs to be right out of the box. If you crashed it and you broke it, then we'll fix it. But so many times people buy things from stores, and then when things aren't right, they assume that they have no recourse. And so many times that's true. But that shouldn't be true with 533, and I sincerely believe that it is not true and will not be true. Okay. Okay. I want to show you guys something. This is from a video that I am working on. This is not, we'll get back to the questions in just a second. I'm working on a review of this camera, the Cadx Infra. And the Cadx Infra is a low light camera. Well, you've seen low light RunCam Eagle, Night Eagle. You've seen low light cameras before, but this one has an AI box. Oh, well, that sounds like marketing BS, was my first thought. I don't care. But I was intrigued enough to buy it. I bought one. For the record, I paid for it with my own money, but I got a receipt and everything, if that matters to you. And they're like, infra camera, 0 lux. And I'm like, look at this. This is all just like made up shit, right? These are not actual pictures from the camera. 16:9 and 4:3. Oh, la-di-da. Anyway, 120 degree field of view. That doesn't seem right. Oh, it's the analog. I have the analog version. That's why I thought the field of view was a little bit narrow. The analog version is 4:3 crop on a 16:9 sensor. Ah, that makes sense. I bet the 16:9 version doesn't feel like narrow field of view. Interesting. Okay, file that away. It's not really relevant right this minute. Here's why I'm talking about this right now. Okay, DVR is rolling. This is 2. Shit. Holy shit. Okay, what you may not realize is it's 11 o'clock at night right now. It's 11 o'clock at night. That's my house. Here, wait, I'll show you. I'll give you a perspective. Oh, that's just me being artsy. Sorry, hold on. I don't know what this is. That's nothing. There you go. So this is what's going on. That's again me being artsy. Sorry. Like, okay, there's a moon. That's not really a full moon. I know that looks like a full moon. That's just a trick of the camera. There is a moon. It's not a full moon. But this camera is the best low light camera I've ever seen on an FPV drone. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. The best low light camera I've ever seen on an FPV drone. It's not a full moon because the camera, look. Let's check. How do I... Oh, that's pretty close. This was several nights ago. Illumination was July... What's today? Is the 17th? This was several nights ago. So it was at like 50%. The exposure on the camera is widening up and making it look like more of a ball than it really is. So it's at 50%. Fair enough. It wasn't a full moon though. Regardless. It was ridiculous. I was really impressed. Here's the part I wanted to show you guys. Obviously, like, there's a lot of light spill here from the lights on the patio and stuff, but I went in the barn, and the barn is, like, really dark. It's a little hard for me to show you guys this. Do you see that there's a shadow right here? Okay? And there's a bright spot right here on the left. And that moves with the drone. Do you see that it's moving with the drone? That is the LEDs on the flight controller reflecting off the wall. The blue LED on the flight controller, the status LED. That's why it's shadowed like that. That's the only light source, really. And it's bouncing off the wall and creating a shadow. The full review is coming. There are some quirks and downsides, but just speaking of the low light performance, it is preposterously good. It's preposterously good. So there you go. I wanted to share this with you guys. Pretty wild. Wild is right. If you were to combine this with some kind of an infrared illuminator, even a dim one, it would be just bananas good. Anyway, there you go. Alrighty, back to the questions. Do you know any FPV bundles that have DJI O3 with controllers and everything? Who's selling a full build kit, bind and fly, ready to go with O3? Does Rotorite still sell the O3? Ready to fly drones, all ready to fly drones. Walksnail, yeah. You can buy a full starter kit, is what Rotorite calls them. This is one of the reasons I think people are like, Rotorite's overpriced. Yeah, it's your money. You make that decision for yourself, you know. But Rotorite is one of the only vendors where you can buy a complete starter kit. Everything you need, charger, goggles, controller, all in one box, one credit card swipe, no hassle, and it all arrives ready to go out of the box. You just open it up, plug it in, go. Rotorite's, they're the only one I can think of. There may be some other out there that are smaller stores that I haven't heard of. I always like to point that out, and it's a reason why they're always in my stable. You may decide you don't want to buy individual motors, frames, etc. from them for whatever reason, but if you're a beginner looking for an all-in-one kit, I mean, it's $1,200. That's honestly, it includes battery, controller, everything. Does it include batteries? No, it doesn't include batteries. Okay. That's honestly a pretty fair price. You know? It's a little high for what you're getting. Like, that's not like a super expensive charger, but like that's what you're paying for the convenience, right? And there are always people who say, well, I don't want to pay for convenience. I want to save money. And it's like, good for you. And then there's other people out there who are like, I want to pay for convenience. And for some reason, they're the bad guys. Anyway. If I had a 6S motor, but I'm running a 4S battery, will it burn the motor? Nope. The motor will make 33% less RPMs. Everything will be fine. It's going the other way that will burn the motor, potentially. If you have a 4S battery on a 6S motor, the other way around, a 4S motor on a 6S battery, that can fry it because it spins too fast. Which is better, Fruity Pebbles or Fruit Loops? Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops. Fruity Pebbles too small. Too small and kind of... You put a mouthful of Fruity Pebbles in your mouth and you're just like... There's nothing to bite down on. You put a Fruit Loops in your mouth, you're really crunching on them Fruit Loops.
This is... I'm going to be... No, that's just wrong. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, they just absorb milk faster because they're smaller, right? So you have to treat the way you make the cereal differently.
You're one of those weirdos who like puts it in one spoon at a time.
No, but like if you're ready to eat it, like you fill the bowl with cereal and then you're hitting it with milk and eating like quickly, or you're making a small bowl and then refilling the bowl, you know? No. So then it's crunchy the whole time. It's nice and crunchy. It doesn't ever go soggy.
Yeah, but they're little tiny pieces. They're little tiny pieces is my point. They're already, they're like pre-chewed.
I mean,
I want to have
tasty snacks.
I want to have, like, if you make me Rice Krispie treats, damn, I'm down. But like a Rice Krispie treat is a block, and I bite it, and now I want to feel like I'm participating. Like, just take the Fruity Pebbles and just put them in a blender, and I'll just drink it. It's kind of the same experience. It's not about the sogginess; it's about the size. You know, yeah, we could disagree. Oof. I'm trying to build an Ultralight O3 2S toothpick around 45 grams dry weight. Should I do 3-inch, 3.5-inch, 4-inch? I don't think there's any way you're going to hit 45 grams on a 4-inch. Like, what's a 1404 motor even weigh? Emax Eco 1404. The weight of this motor is 8.6 grams without the wire. Multiply by 4. 34 grams. That leaves you 10 grams for everything else. Forget about it. I think your props are going to weigh more than 10 grams. So that's a no. I think 3-inch is the way to go. But I guess you could... Oh. I don't know, man. 1204 motors. The weight of the 03 is going to be the sticking point on the Zing Nano 1200T motor F1204. 6 grams. 4 times 6, 24. Now you got about half the weight of the quadcopter in motors. That's closer to right. So I think 4-inch is right on out. 3.5-inch, maybe. Maybe. Oxtail Gravy asks, how do I configure turtle mode? Is it as simple as enabling bidirectional D-shot? No, you don't need to bidirectional D-shot has nothing to do with turtle mode. Turtle mode works as long as you're using D-shot at all. You don't need to do any special configuration. It just works as long as you're using D-shot. You need to go into the modes tab and set up turtle mode, or they call it flip crash mode. Set it up as a mode, and that's the end of it. Bidirectional is something different. It's related to filtering and PID tuning. It doesn't have anything to do with whether turtle mode works or changing the direction of the motors. You're thinking that it has to do with turtle mode because it says bidirectional, and when you turtle mode, you switch motor direction. That is true, but that's not the way bidirectional is being used in this context. Why is my Fat Shark Dominator HD beeping fast and repeatedly? It thinks the battery voltage is low. It does that when it thinks the input voltage it gets below, I don't remember the number, but when it gets below something like 7.5 volts, it starts beeping like that. The Raccoon wants to know, I had a random motor on my Beta FPV Meteor 75 break. Why did it broke, or how do I fix it? There's no way for me to know why it broke. I have no information that I could use to even begin to tell you why it broke. All I can say at this point is things on quads break mostly because we crash. How do you fix it? On a little 75 millimeter, you replace the motor. I don't know anybody who's changing the bell or something on those tiny little motors. You pretty much just replace the motor. My motors smell funny when I run them for more than 10 minutes. Are they super hot? Is that the smell of your insulation cooking? Figure out why your motors are getting hot is the answer. Maybe the motors are undersized for the prop that you're running. Maybe you're running them at too high a voltage, and the RPMs are too much. There's various reasons why motors. Maybe it has to do with your PID tuning. There's various reasons why it might be overheating. But definitely don't just keep running them until they smoke, because if that smell is probably the insulation starting to sort of cook. And if you keep doing it, you'll destroy them. Where does Matthew Barnard of Upgrade Energy get his pure gold 18650s? What is a pure gold? Sorry. Pure gold. Where do you even see that? No, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Blunty, do you see him saying what he's Sky King? I mean, I guess this was an older question. He may not be paying attention. I'm not really sure what you're referring to in terms of pure gold. No. I see no reference to that. Learning Center. Yeah, I don't see any reference to gold. So, Sky King, what do you mean? I mean, these are the thing is, the great thing about Upgrade Energy, one of the great things that I really approve of is that they don't really keep very many secrets. Like, there are a few things they do when they make their battery that help make the batteries better that they kind of keep to themselves. Although, if you were to buy a battery and pull it apart, you could start to figure out what some of them are. Some of them are just that, like, they have the money to buy a laser instead of a spot welder. And they weld some of the batteries with a laser, which lets them do some things you couldn't do with a spot welder. That's as much detail as I feel comfortable giving, because I don't think anybody out there is going to be buying a $50,000 industrial laser to steal their secrets. But a lot of the stuff they put up and they just make it so, like, if here are all the cells that they use, and here's the data sheets for these cells. So if you're wondering what cell do they use, yeah. There they are. I assumed you meant that pure gold was a marketing term, like he has the red, the purple, and the green. Were you joking and talking about him literally selling batteries made of gold? I can't tell if it was some kind of a comment about the price of the batteries. I don't know. Oh, yeah, you're commenting on the price. I mean, that's up to you. Don't buy them if you don't want to. But, like, you can go look at the price of the cells, and then you can look at what he's charging and decide, if that's worth it to you to have them make them. You can make your own. Yeah, absolutely. Time is money. That's the thing. Like, let's see. What's the markup? Here is a 6S 4500, 6S1P. Molicell P45B. Molicell P45B. 18650. Let me just search. P45B. Hello, I'm searching. If I click the question mark. Okay, so let's see. Oh, that's marked down. 4500. 6S1P. That is $5 a cell. That's pretty cheap, actually. That's 6 of them. 6 times 5, that's $30. Yeah. You could build it for yourself way cheaper. More power to you. Okay. For a sub 250 O3 air unit, Amon Thomas, I think that if your goal is to be sub 250, then I would shoot for 249. Like, if you're going to carry the O3 air unit, I think that I would shoot for, like, 249. I think when you get much below about a 3-inch prop or a 95 millimeter Cinewhoop, you start to really feel the weight of the O3. And it doesn't mean you can't have fun and have a good flying quad at 85 millimeters or, 75 millimeters with an O3. I don't know if I would like living with that, but if you got to do what you got to do. But I think that 3 inches and coming in right around 249 grams is about what I would be at. Maybe 3.5 inches. If you need it to be smaller for some reason, like you want to fly it inside your house, well, now you got to make it smaller. But if your goal is the weight first and foremost, then hit right up against that weight. Cool Cat, those large yellow connectors you were seeing are XT90s. There's XT30, XT60, there's an XT90. How many balance port extenders can I use before performance is affected? My charger has to be plugged in about 10 feet from where I feel safe charging. Oscar, I would strongly recommend that you use an extension cord to plug the charger in and move the charger, and then plug the battery in with as short a wire as possible. That would be my advice. What motor size would you use for a low-pitch, long-range, ultralight 4-inch? 2004. But yeah, ultralight 2004. Tommy Tabahia's 250 build is a sub 250 gram 5-inch. And if you can build a sub 250 gram 5-inch, well, that's going to make a nice lightweight 4-inch. And he uses 2004 motors. So that would be my recommendation. Is 200 hours enough before buying a drone? Probably. 200 hours in the sim? Doing freestyle? Yeah. I would say so. Probably more than enough. What size 4S on a 3.5-inch build? 850 to 1,000 milliamp hours is what I would think is about right. Oh no, those are answered. Why would props create blurry images when running? It's almost like it's interfering with the signal. Vibration. It's vibration. Right? The props are making the camera vibrate, or the camera sensor inside the camera, or the lens. Vibration from the props is making the image, the camera vibrate. That's the answer, I think. I can't think of any other way it would happen. Electrical interference wouldn't do that. What is the budget, best value for money, FPV-friendly action cam at this time? Is it still the RunCam Orange, chat? To be honest with you, I haven't been running GoPro. I have some GoPros. I haven't been running them very much because, you know, these days I mostly just run DVR and it's usually good enough. Is it still the RunCam Orange as the sort of budget? People are suggesting the Cadx Walnut. Has the Cadx Walnut gotten better since it first released? RunCam Thumb Pro. Form factor on the RunCam Thumb Pro is a little bit less friendly than the RunCam Orange. RunCam Thumb. Nobody's saying the Orange. The Orange used to be the go-to. Interesting. Cadx Walnut, RunCam Thumb Pro, RunCam Thumb Pro 4K are suggestions that are being thrown out. Joseph Tahari says the Cadx Walnut is trash. I remember the Cadx Walnut being trash when it first came out, and I kind of gave up on it. I would probably buy the Orange, just because it's a known quantity to me. Let's do a couple more super chats. We've had a couple more super chats come in. Doug McLeod says, it's amazing how quickly Fat Shark went from being the premier goggle manufacturer to irrelevant. I wouldn't say they're irrelevant. They're definitely not the premier. I think that if I had to comment, I would say that Fat Shark struggled to weather the transition from analog to digital. They were the premier analog goggle manufacturer for a long time. When Orca came out, and then at the same time-ish, SkyZone got much, much better. SkyZone used to be a pretty consistent, like, also-ran compared to Fat Shark. Like, pretty good, but not as good, and all the cool kids ran Fat Shark. And SkyZone got real good. And Orca came out with their goggle, which was real good, and kind of showed Fat Shark, Fat Shark, like the interface hadn't innovated very much. And Orca came out and they had like an actual proper interface, and people were like, "Oh, how is that nice?" Likewise, SkyZone, a more sophisticated interface, in many ways nicer to use, and Fat Shark was still in the mix, though, making good products, good quality control, good customer service. And then the digital, when digital happened, Fat Shark was in trouble, in my opinion, because analog was now on the decline. And analog is, no one, are there more or fewer analog pilots today than there were in 2019 when the DJI FPV system first came out? And to me, the DJI video system, it came out in August, September of 2019, late August, early September. And to me, that was the beginning of digital FPV. I know that there were digital FPV systems that existed, like Cadx ProSight was one of them, that existed before DJI, but none of them, for whatever reason, actually reached sort of market penetration. They were all super niche things that eventually just went out of business. DJI August 2019 was like the beginning, and at that moment, the number of analog pilots. Well, I was about to say the number of analog pilots was as high as it ever will be again, because digital started to grow and people switched over. Not everyone switched over, but some people did. Whereas before that, 100% of people were flying analog. It may not be true today because a new domain has opened up. People that are not hobbyists are flying analog, and they're flying a lot of analog builds, and that's sort of skewing the numbers in many ways. But who could have predicted that? But if you just focus on hobbyists, there are fewer analog pilots today than there were in 2019. And I think that number isn't going to go back up again. It may fluctuate, but it's not going to go all the way back up because digital's here and digital's taken a bite. And Fat Shark tried partnering with HD Zero to be the goggle manufacturer and a video transmitter manufacturer for HD Zero. That didn't work out. Why didn't it work out? I don't know. Not going into it. That's drama. We don't need to speculate about drama. That's not productive. Carl took his ball. Carl went home. Carl's making video transmitters now. Carl's making goggles. So I need Fat Shark. Who needs Fat Shark? And Fat Shark was like, "Good. I didn't need you anyway. I've got a new girlfriend. It's Walksnail, and she's way prettier than you. I traded up." And Walksnail went, "Oh yeah, good. We'll do a product release. Yay! Fat Shark and Walksnail, buddies forever." And then Walksnail released the Goggles X all by themselves. And Fat Shark was like, "I thought we were buddies forever." And Walksnail was like, eh. So I wouldn't say Fat Shark is irrelevant. I mean, they still make and sell goggles. But I do think that they don't have a compelling product that makes people go, "Ooh, Fat Shark." You know what I mean? Like, even when they released the Dominator goggles with Walksnail, there was the Walksnail goggles right there. And everybody was like, I can see these aren't Fat Shark goggles. These are Walksnail goggles that Fat Shark is selling. Or maybe they're Fat Shark goggles that Walksnail is selling. But it wasn't like Fat Shark, you know? So, where are they going from here? I don't know. What I can tell you is that they're a part of Unusual Machines. Unusual Machines owns Fat Shark and Rotor Riot. And as we learned several weeks ago, Unusual Machines is going after the government, you know, military, law enforcement. They're going after that market. And that market, you don't need to take a very big bite of that market to make enough money to keep your company relevant and keep your company going. So, like, in the same way that, like, where's Orca? What's Orca doing? I don't know. Haven't seen a lot of Orca around here in the hobby market lately. Well, are they, like, working on some, like, you can, I'm not speculating. You can go to Orca's corporate website and they've got these NDAA goggles that no hobbyist ever bought that clearly are targeted towards. So, like, if I found out that Fat Shark was making some special goggles just for the government, they're like, okay, well, sounds right up your alley. Hey, and there's no competition. Yeah, I wouldn't say they're, like, irrelevant. They're certainly not the titan of the hobby that they once were. The Donnie Llama says, thank you for $5, Donnie Llama. 5S on 3.5 inches, amazing. If you say so. I mean, where are you getting a 5S 850 milliamp hour battery? Is there like one of those in existence? Hang on a second, my phone is yelling at me. I don't know why. Tyson Raw, thank you for a $5 super chat. No question, just a thank you for what you do. Thank you, Tyson, and thank you for the donation. Matt Quillen, I effed up on my earlier question. I have the Boxer ELRS ordered. I would prefer an HD whoop to begin with. Goggles to grow with an HD, then bind and fly, or... Well, have you picked an HD system yet? You got to pick an HD system. You got to decide if you want DJI, Walksnail, or HD0. That's like, there's no one right answer. That's like saying, what's your favorite pizza topping? Everybody's going to have a different answer. There are pros and cons of each of the systems. We're not going to go into like all the pros and cons here. That's stuff that's been discussed elsewhere. The first thing you got to do is pick your system, though. If you're going with a Whoop, you might think that HD0 and Walksnail are the obvious choice because they both have a 1S video transmitter. The HD0 1S video transmitter, we talked about some issues with the 65mm whoops with HD0 earlier in the stream. The Walksnail 1S video transmitter, a lot of people think it has some durability issues and they're not as big a fan of it as you might think. So, on the other hand, the O3 is much heavier. So there's no one right answer. If you decided to go with DJI, I would say the Flylens 85 with O3 is a solid choice for something that still qualifies as a whoop. With Walksnail, I think they make the Flylens with Walksnail, actually. I think. Crashtofer FPV, thank you for a $20 super chat. That's a big super chat. Really appreciate it. I soldered a new motor on a 75mm and had a bad time. The wires are reversed, and neither Betaflight nor BLHeli32 saved the motor reversal, so I had to resolder. How can I avoid this in the future? I don't know why the motor reversal didn't work. I think Betaflight 442 didn't work with motor reversal, but if you were on 4.5, I think it should work. Bottom line is, you should test the motors before you fly. Right? Every time you change a motor, manually test the motors and check the motor direction before you fly. Never assume that the motor's going the right way.
I'll just point out one confusing thing for a lot of people who don't do a lot of BLHeli32. When you're in BLHeli Suite and you make a change, then you need to write those changes after you make them. similar to how you would save in something else, and then it's going to write each ESC with the changes that you've made. Just so you know.
Yeah. Good point. A lot of people might have overlooked that. Coal Flare, thank you for a $5 super chat. Have you spoken about the Walksnail Avatar HD Goggles L budget digital goggles? I'm going to get these as my first digital goggles. I have not talked about them. Let's talk about them. Thank you for your $5 super chat. The Walksnail Goggles L is a $200 Walksnail Avatar compatible set of goggles. That's about what there is to say about it. It's a box goggle, so you're not going to get quite the same premium experience as you do by having binocular goggles, but that's still good enough for a lot of people. And didn't Fat Shark also release a box goggle that's Walksnail compatible? I think it was the Scout. Yeah. Where is it? Yeah, there you go. Fat Shark Recon HD. Is this just the same as the Fat Shark Recon HD? In a lot of ways, I think it is. But this one's made by Walksnail. See, Walksnail is really like, if I were Fat Shark, I'd be like, okay, I see how it is. Like, we're in business together. You're going to make products that directly undercut and compete with mine. I don't feel like we're partners. That's how I would feel. $2.99 or $1.99. Fat Shark Recon HD. How much? Game over. $279. Wow. Okay, well, there you go. There's a big difference between them. $80 price point. But the Fat Shark Recon HD are so much better built. Maybe they are. I wouldn't know for $80. 1080p HD screen, 4.5 inches. 1080p 4-inch panel. Slightly smaller panel. Head tracker, new optical design, blah, blah, blah. PPM signal output to radio controller. You just got a head tracker. That's cute. 1920 by 1080. SD card in the middle. Greg French's legacy. Sticking with us all. Well, let's put the SD card right between your eyes. I like it. That's a good idea. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, that's nice. How much is the Goggles X? Goggles X, $458. That's a big price. That's a big step down in price. That's crazy. That's impressive. I always like to say that with digital systems, it's the price of the video transmitters that's going to get you. You can save a few $100s on the goggles, and I mean, obviously that's money saved. But if you're spending $150 on a video transmitter, it's not going to take you very many quads before you've made up the difference. Nevertheless, a $250, $260 savings compared to other alternatives is really substantial. Is it worth it to get into this system with a box goggle? The thing is, here's the thing. What else are you going to get? You're not going to find a frickin' analog set of binocular goggles for $200. So, this is cheaper than many analog systems you would get. Okay, like the Cobra X is $200. That's an analog box goggle. That's comparable. Basically, you're getting this for the price of a not very expensive analog set of goggles. Then you're going to pay more for the video transmitter and the camera. But yeah, this is making digital accessible to people who wouldn't have been able to afford it any other way. There you go. Now we've talked about it. I built a 5-inch quad with 2100 kV motors, and it's way too much for me. How do I turn the rates down so I don't punch out every time when I'm just trying to do a flip? Woonex, here's what you need to do. It's not the rates you need to change. Well, it might be the rates, but what you need to do is this. In Betaflight, connect to the flight controller. I said connect to the flight controller. What the hell? Oh God, flight controller's overheating. Speaking of core temperature warning. There we go. We go to the PID tuning tab. And we're going to scroll down. And we're going to find motor output limit. And we're going to reduce that number. Let's say we take it down to 80%. And that's what you're going to do. Like, you can even do math if you want to. I know, math. How terrible. You've got 2100 kV motors. Let's say you want to simulate an 1800 kV motor. 1800 out of 2100 is 85%. Okay, so if you go to 85%, you're simulating an 1800 kV motor. Just tweak that number up and down until it's somewhere you can handle. Robocopter FPV says, what's the next evolution in freestyle? Lord, I don't know. Oh, Lord, I don't know. FPV Cam wonders if a throttle cap is more appropriate. It could be. A throttle cap would still let the PID controller use the full motor output. But the thing is, 2100 kV is really freaking high. It's pretty high. I'm not even sure the PID controller needs that much output. So I think you might get better flight characteristics overall with just by limiting the motors. Tony DiMaggio, thank you for a $10 super chat. Is there a good site or so LAN media handle that lets you know about local events? I seem to find out about them after they happen. In Knoxville, there's a Knoxville, a group chat on Facebook Messenger. Sometimes people have like a Discord server or something. You have to find out from the organizers where they announce their stuff. There's not like one central website that has all the events. You need to, when you find out you've missed an event, reach out to the people who organized it and say, how can I find out about your next event? And you just got to run that down. Thank you, Oxtail Gravy, for a $5 super chat. Blunty, am I crazy or did we already answer this? Did he leave the super chat again?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was a regular question before or a super chat, but yes, okay. We did answer that.
Oxtail Gravy, we answered this question earlier. I appreciate your super chat, so I'll answer it again. You do not need to enable bidirectional D-Shot. That has nothing to do with turtle mode. It is something separate. You should enable it because it makes your quad fly better, but it has no relationship whatsoever to turtle mode. To make turtle mode work, all you have to do is enable D-Shot. Be using D-Shot and then set up a flip crash mode in the modes tab and it will work. It just works as long as you're using D-Shot at all. Crispy Drip, thank you for a $5 super chat. My Meteor 75 yaws whenever I pull out of a dive. How can I fix this? What you're describing is called yaw washout. Yaw washout occurs when one of the rear motors reaches saturation. In other words, the motor's at 100% and it can't spin any faster, and then the quad skids, if you will, or washes out. This is a common thing with very small quadcopters, and basically what it means is you're flying too aggressive. You're too much for the quad. You have to dial it back. If you do big dives with tiny quads, a lot of times you get yaw washout. The answer is don't do big dives with tiny quads. One thing you can do is when you're diving, keep the throttle raised a little bit. Don't lower the throttle all the way down and keep the quad kind of moving forward instead of falling straight down. A lot of times that'll fix it. But the answer is you need to fly around it. Could you get different motors, like higher kV motors, bigger motors, different props? Maybe. Sometimes different props will help. But a lot of times, you just need to fly around it. And that's what I think pro pilots are doing. Ugly Chia Pet, thank you for a $20 super chat. Ugly Chia Pet says, has anybody experienced clicky motors? Yes. Okay, so it's normal for motors to be clicky. That's just the magnets doing the thing that magnets do. If you have motors that don't spin freely, that could be a thing called FET drag. What I would do in that case is I would desolder the motor from the ESC so the wires are loose, okay? Now spin the motor. Is the motor still dragging or is it spinning freely? If desoldering the motors causes it to spin freely, that actually could be completely normal. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong. What's weird, some ESCs will cause FET drag on the motors and some won't. What's weird is that you have two motors that are dragging and two motors that aren't dragging, which makes me think maybe something's up with your ESC. I'll tell you though, as long as the quadcopter is flying fine, I wouldn't stress about it. FET drag is something that happens. It's an electrical magnetic phenomena that happens when the motor is connected to the ESC, and it doesn't necessarily indicate anything is wrong. If it's not affecting flight or visible in the logs, I would 100% agree with Brandon Beans. Just go, just enjoy your quad. What's your switch layout on a TX16X, ARM, Turtle, GPS, etc.? My switch layout is I have ARM on the 2 position here. I have beeper on the momentary here. I have acro mode on this switch up, angle mode in the middle position, turtle mode in the down position. That's my basic configuration. That's on all my drones forever. Then if I have additional stuff like GPS is usually on this 3 position, or sometimes on this one. I'm not sure if I have a universe. See, I've switched to the Boxer, and the Boxer has a slightly different switch layout. But that's about it. Six is what FPV says. No pre-arm, risky. I like to live dangerously. For pre-arm, I use the throttle. So I raise the throttle when I disarm, and now that's my pre-arm because the quad won't arm with the throttle raised. I lower the throttle. I lower the throttle when I land, when I'm ready to fly. I've got a repeated question coming in. I'm finally going to answer it from IDJAF. IDJAF, the props are not the secret to DJI drones flying the way they fly. Yes, the props are part of it. DJI drones fly the way they fly because of the entire engineering of the drone. Simply taking DJI props or the pitch of the props and moving them over to a different drone will not give you the result that you're looking for. Yeah. What motor? How so efficient? I don't know. If anyone could answer that question, they would be a billionaire DJI engineer, right? It's the entire engineering of the drone, from the frame being lightweight, to the battery having high energy density, to the motors being ultra efficient, to the props being ultra efficient. The entire quadcopter is engineered to a ridiculous degree to produce an incredible result that's very, very difficult to emulate. The question that you're asking is like looking at the space shuttle and going, well, how does it go to space? Like, what kind of fuel does it use? And it's like, I could tell you what kind of fuel the space shuttle uses, but that's not going to tell you how it goes to space, keeps human beings alive, and comes back home again. There's so much more to it. The DJI drone is not as complex as the space shuttle, but that's the point I'm getting at. There's a ton of engineering in there, and you can't just reduce it to one thing and then try to emulate that thing. That's what I would say about that. Will McGregor, I use a hybrid pinch grip. grip, there's no one right grip. They're all very personal, and I wouldn't stress. I think that when I teach people to fly, I recommend they start with pinch. I think that for some people, pinch gives more precision, but there are top pilots who fly thumbs, and so I don't, make a strong stance on that. What motor do I use for 4-inch if I don't want excess power, says IDFGA. For 4-inch, I think you're going to be somewhere like, let's look up, like a 2004 motor, maybe a 2205 motor. Let's see. 2004 is just about the smallest motor that I think makes sense. Oh, 2205 isn't the right one either. 2305? 2204 is about the smallest motor I think makes sense on 4-inch. You could go down to like a 1404 if it was like a very lightweight long-range cruiser. A 1404 might make sense. But to me, for like, I don't think most people are going to build that light. So I think, let's see, 2305. What size motor are we? That's not right. 2204, 2205. Motors and props. All motors by size. Let's do a 21. What do we got? 2105. There we go. Are we up to a 3mm shaft yet? 2104. I don't know if we've gotten out of the... I don't think we're out of the 2mm shaft yet. I don't know when we're going to get out of it. How about a 22? 2207, 2205. Oh, can you still get that one? That's not going to be very lightweight, though. Like, this would be a good motor. That's the right KV. That's the right KV. I think it's going to be a heavier motor, though. I'm not sure that's the right motor. Maybe you need to go back down to the 21s. I guess 2004 is okay. It's not going to be very durable. What KV does 2004 come in? 3000 kV. That's a better. Need 6S or 4S. Yeah. I don't know. 2006. Interesting. I think for like low power and efficiency, I think you'd be looking at, I guess, a 2004 2400 kV. I guess. Like, I really want to make it a bigger motor because 2004s are not very durable, especially with a bigger prop. That's probably where I would send you. You save weight that way. IDGFGA says, I have 1804s with 2400 kV with a 3mm shaft. Yeah, they'd be lighter if they were T-mount, but that's a solid, yeah, that's pretty solid. Can I pet that dog? I don't know what dog you're referring to. I encourage you to pet a dog. Let's see here. Maybe maybe I dismissed 1404 too easily. I just think a 1404 4-inch build needs to be like really lightweight, and a lot of people aren't, like 200 grams lightweight, 180 grams lightweight. And a lot of people aren't going to build it that light. All right, super chats are done. for now. We got about 10 minutes left in the stream. I'll take a few more questions. Again, please remember, if I didn't get to your question, email me, jb@joshuabardwell.com. I'll do my best to answer all of the ones that I can, usually within a day, sometimes more than a day. If you're one of the people who took more than a day, I apologize. But you can always email me, and I'll do my best to get to you with the answers. What do you think of the Flyfish Sword 1950 kV motors? Well, let's find out. How much budget is budget? $15, that's a good budget. That's the right price for a budget motor. That is the right price. Looks like they have single strand windings. That's encouraging. Some effort was clearly put into the top of the bell, the machining. We got little grippy nubs here. It's kind of nice. It's difficult to know much about a motor just by looking at the product page. In terms of the internal construction of the motor, the build quality, the performance of the motor is probably going to be fine. Like, unless it's just they completely screwed up the design and the manufacturing of the motor, it's probably not going to be terrible in terms of efficiency and thrust. But it's going to be more about durability and how long they stay smooth enough that they're not screwing up your camera. For $15, I think it's probably worth trying if you're leaning that direction. That's the right price these days for like a motor. Like if you showed me a $9 motor, I'd be like, I don't want to buy that. I don't know how you got it that cheap, but I don't trust you. $15, $14 is about the price where I go, okay, that seems about right. It could be a good budget motor. So Flyfish has a pretty good track record of making shit. So like, I'm mildly inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt. Other than that, I don't know a lot about the motor. You have any recommendations for a sim for Tiny Whoops? Liftoff. Liftoff has a Tiny Whoop simulator. It's on Steam. Who else has a Tiny Whoop specific simulator? Tiny Whoop Go, that's it. Tiny Whoop Go is another, it's a standalone app. Velocidrone has whoops, but are they really whoops? When Velocidrone had the iGow or the RaceGow tracks, they were just scaled up, and then they had 5 inches going through the track, and they messed with the physics to try to make them feel like whoops. Velocidrone has the micro add-on. Got it. So Velocidrone has the micro add-on, Liftoff Micros on Steam, or Tiny Whoop Go. Tiny Whoop Go, is it free? I can't remember. I think it's free. I actually remember liking Tiny Whoop Go a lot when we did the review of simulators some time ago, Blunty. The graphics are not great, but I thought the physics were very good. I'm being told it's not free anymore. How can I play Liftoff in my Goggles V2? I don't think you can. Is it Moonlight? Wait, does Moonlight do that? You can. I'm wrong. There's a thing called Moonlight. You need to look up DJI FPV Moonlight. And it lets you stream games into your V2 goggles. How do you like that? There you go. Lets you screen share into your DJI goggles. Very slick. Oop, wrong one. Any tips on how to fix pitch tracking? My 3-inch build slightly dips while throttling over 50% and goes back up when letting off. The pitch slider, the pitch IT slider doesn't work. What you need is anti-gravity gain. Anti-gravity. Why do they call it anti-gravity? That just name things weird things. In the PID tuning tab, there is a feature, anti-gravity gain, and what it does is it stabilizes the quad more when you punch the throttle, and it's specifically designed to fix this exact issue. So I would try increasing the anti-gravity gain first. Alrighty, folks, that is going to bring us to the end of the stream. Thank you guys for sticking with me here on a Wednesday night. We will be back again this weekend on Sunday and Monday with normal streams. But no news this week on Tuesday if you're following along with the schedule. Just keep an eye on my channel. I will be creating events for upcoming live streams. And we'll see you there this Sunday. Thank you guys for coming up. Oh, Ciati is streaming? Does he usually stream on Wednesdays? Or is it just a coincidence that he always streams after me? Is Ciati streaming tonight? If so, go watch Ciati stream. Good night, everybody. Night, Plenty.
All right.